Okay. Good morning, everyone. So this is the second time I'm recording this. I didn't like the way that it came out the first time, mainly because it took me 16 minutes to talk about this, and I think if you guys want, I can go through the changes and everything in greater detail in another video. But for now, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet to see if you guys enjoyed that. So ADC is being changed being buffed slash quality of life. I think this is really good for the game as a mid laner. I personally think ADC 9 games out of 10 feels too weak, doesn't really impact the game, and the only way that it does is if it gets like extremely fed, which doesn't tend to happen all the time. Even when ganks do happen, um, they're not always picking up the kills. It's more that one just gets downtrodden and made absolutely useless. So, um, with that said, I would like them to be more of a champion earlier on in the game so that they can actually impact the game. I think that's just a healthy thing to want for the game. So, uh, for you guys that don't know who he is, right? Freak is on the balance team now. He used to do casting. He makes really, really good in-depth patch rundowns and explains it all. I'd recommend going and watching him. With that said, I'm going to carry on with my video now. So, Overhill is being buffed. I think that this has needed a buff for a while. When was the last time you saw a champion with Overhill and thought, oh, damn, he beat me there because he had Overhill? No one feels it. No one really notices it. It takes way too long to scale. So, what they're doing about it, they're making it better. A little bit worse level one. The way that the maths works out is like the first few levels it'll probably be worse, and then it'll start to scale up and up and up, and it will just be better at every point in the game. After that, as long as you're not like stacking HP and building Overhill, which yeah, I don't think anyone does that. Maybe Cogmore with Titanic Hydra builds and Randuins, but no. This is nice, giving AD carry some defensive options that don't absolutely fuck them over in the mid game is really important. Yeah, so that being said, Bloodthirster is also getting a buff, another item that you just don't really see enough, so it's getting less lifesteal, it's getting a bigger shield at almost every point in the game again. So if you want if you want to build this first because you're against a big poke lane, it's still got the lifesteal, you're still going to get the shield, and it's a bit cheaper now. But really, this is aimed at like mid game. You don't want to just get one shot through your shields. If you think that people are going to be one-shotting you, then you should probably build this item. But at least it gives you an option, right? You've got a bit more durability and a bit more defensive capability with your in your control. Sorry, with the agencies with you. Not Brom didn't use Locket active, or Soraka didn't drop the silence properly and heal me, and she's not got Guardian, so we didn't. No, it's on you, which is nice, and I think that's important because AD carries are very much at the mercy of their team in solo queue a lot of the games. Now, also, I'm just going to caveat. Obviously, there are exceptions of this, but unfortunately, not everyone is challenger. Not everyone is Uzi or or deft. So for 99% of the game, I think everyone's really going to enjoy this buff, and I mean even they will. But yeah, don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, they're also buffing mana. So the way that they're doing this is it's going to be a little bit worse. You're going to have a little bit less mana early game, but then like really early game, but then it's going to scale up. They want to make sure that they don't make Ashe more ridiculous and more obnoxious. Yeah, so that presence of mind takers have some mana regen when it gets to the mid game, and it's not super important for them to take it all the time. I think this is a good quality of life. You still have some mana, but if you take presence of mind, you're going to be getting a lot more. And it's a choice. It's still a choice, but you do get to opt into defensive options if you like. I think this also opens up other play styles. I think, gone are the days of cautious defensive AD carries that would farm up, reach team fights, and outperform the AD carry there. It's so damage orientated, it's so snowbally that I don't think that's really an option anymore. So I like it. I like it quite a lot. Sorry, once again, trying to rush through this just because I don't want to make the video extremely long. Blade of the Ruined King is getting a buff now. It's just 1%, but I think this 1% is going to do two things. One, I think the item needed a buff. I think there are way too many times where it is a good option. It should be a good option, and it's not built because you're losing 20% crit, and you need to get 3 items as an AD carry. And we're gonna move on to where this is leading in a second. But I think if you build Blade of the Ruined King, too many times people are scared that if I do this, I'm not going to get 3 more items and start feeling like a champion, and it's not worth the risk. So they always just build the same. There's not a lot of freedom when it comes, you get your mythic, you get a Lord Doms if they've got a tank, and then you get Infinity Edge. Even if Lord Doms at the time of you buying it doesn't feel nice, especially if you're not ahead, you have to be really smart with your gold. As an AD carry, there's a lot of things that you need. Yeah, but coming back to the Blade of the Ruined King, I think this is going to do 2 things. One, make the item better, and 2, make people realize that it's an option, because I think that the item itself was fine already. But now people are going to see it as an option and see like, hey, these guys are building health. Maybe I should build Blade of the Ruined King. And the last change, and the one that people are mainly freaking out about, is that Infinity Edge and Navori Quick Blades is now they're passive. So the fact that you get 35% extra crit damage, or I believe it's the auto attacks reduce your main cooldowns, not your ultimate cooldowns. Passive on the Void Quick Blades. That's going to be at 40% crit. So you build one item and then you build the second one, and you've built your first item, and then you can build Eye Edge or Navori Quick Blades. Now this is going to do a lot of things, but the 2 main things I think it's going to do is, 1, make people feel like they're a champion in most games. A lot of AD carries want the Infinity Edge. A lot of other champions just want their mythic. They feel like a champion at mythic. Freak points out, the example of Rammus and Thornmail. That's just a good item on him. He feels like a champion at Thornmail. He probably feels like a champion at Bramblevest. Some mages feel like a champion at Lost Chapter, but if not Lost Chapter, then definitely Ludens. Relative, like the other items that you can build, Crown, Rod of Ages, Leandri's Torment, whichever one, they definitely feel like a champion at that, with a few cases that need to scale up a little bit more. But 95% of champions do. Twisted Fate feels like a champion with Lucidity boots. You get you base on Lucidity boots, and you look for roams, and you got loads of cooldown and etc. So AD carries don't feel like a champion until they've got Infinity Edge and Navori Quick Blades. Now, whether that's technically right, that's what they feel, right? That's how they feel in game. Like, damn, I couldn't carry the game because I didn't get my Infinity Edge. It's such a big power spikes that like I think they should be allowed to get it a bit earlier. What this does mean though is that it's, especially when it comes to Infinity Edge, it's less of a power spike now, because you're not. You've got, by the time you were building it, you had 60% crit, so you were critting more times than not with this big buff to your crits. Now it's less than 50%. You get a lot of AD. Your crits will hurt, but you don't get them very often. And now you don't have the attack speed of a Phantom Dancer, for example, or the armor pen that you might need. Of course, you get it third. But I do. What I'm trying to say is that this isn't as big as a power spike as you guys might think. What it is allowing champions, AD carry champions, to have options. So now, for example, Lucian can try Essence Reaver and Navori Quick Blades, because if we look at his mythic win rates, they are not good. I mean, Essence Reaver isn't even a good first item. Apparently, Collector's his best one, but he doesn't really have a good first item. Now, what I think is, if you allow him to get Essence Reaver first, then maybe now with Navori Quick Blades only needing to be your second item, and the synergy with those two items getting a lot of cooldown, and him allowing him to get some defensive boots, or maybe even still go for Ionians and have lots of cooldown really early on, allows him to snowball, and you might see the win rate go up just because of the synergy, and then you can get a mythic later on because none of his mythics generally have a good win rate, especially if you compare the win rate of these mythics to him as a champion. So he's got a 49% win rate. If you go to this, just about 50, and then everything else is absolutely terrible. There are some caveats, but I think that this might allow him to try some more adventurous builds, and I'm sure it's the same with every champion. Okay, so we're over 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop talking. Let me know what you guys think when it comes to these changes. Personally, I think it'll be nice to see AD carry spike a bit earlier and impact games and team fights. I still think they're going to be blown up by Syndra and Zed and Talon if they mess up, even with these changes. But we'll have to find out. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know if you enjoy this kind of video, and I'll see you soon.